Hey guys! Did you miss me? Well, I'm back, but I'm not back. I'm just here to explain where I've been. So, a lot of you guys know on June 24th, I had my hysterectomy and everything went well. I just wanted to come on and share my journey as to what led up to the hysterectomy and how I'm dealing with it now. So, it started back in, I'm gonna just get to the point. So I wanna first start off by saying that us as women really need to start having open dialogues about our bodies, because once I disclosed that I was having a hysterectomy and I put it out there and I was open about it, I received so many messages from women who had either a hysterectomy or had their fibroids removed through, I think it's called like a melanostomy. I can never pronounce that word. Or, simply are still dealing with this and trying to figure out how they want to go about it, because some do want to have kids. But when I put that out there, so many women, and even before that, when I was dealing with my periods and stuff, so many women reached out and told me, what they were using or what they did to get through their heavy periods and stuff like that. Or just to say, I stand in solidarity with you because I'm going through the same thing. Um, or some who wasn't, but still wanted to. But once you open that line of communication, you realize you are not alone. And that's how I was feeling prior to telling people. Because I'm like, I can't be the only person going through this. Like, this is so miserable. Like, how do y'all go? Like, oh my God, like this, I felt so defeated. I felt so defeated. Cloudy, walking through life, like trying to grow a business, trying to grow a blog, and just do not physically have the energy to put into it. Do not have the physical energy to be there for my friends mentally or physically. They want a lot from me, but I can't give them a lot because I'm too focused on what I'm going through. And that is a bad thing when dealing with them, but um it's okay to focus on yourself. It's like I could not pour energy into someone else, and I was trying through my business, and I just had to kind of like step back from that. But once I put it out there and I realized I wasn't alone, yes, the road was still hard, but it was kind of like, okay, it's other people dealing with this or dealt with this, so there has to be a way out of this. um so yeah, I just wanted to say, have that open dialogue with your friends, because you'll be amazed at what similar paths you guys have when it comes to your bodies. So I just wanted to say that. Okay, I'm going to get right to it. So the pain started in 2009. I had a sharp twinge in my right side of my abdomen, and that was excruciating. So much so to the point where I can be having a conversation with you, and the next thing I know, I'm on the ground, curled up in a ball. And I went to the doctor. Turned out I had a cyst on my ovary and two fibroids at the time. And the doctor said that the fibroids should not grow any bigger, and the cyst on my ovary should just go away on its own. So it's like, okay. So I leave the doctor. The pain persisted. I go back to the doctor. I said, is there anything that you can give me for this pain in my side? It's really, really hurting. So she gave me some naproxen, which is like ibuprofen or aspirin over the counter. But the only thing with that is I didn't know when the pain would start. So by the time I took the pill, the pain had already started. And by the time the pill kicked in, the pain was gone. So the only thing I could really do was jump in the tub and soak until the pain disappeared. Uh, Take the pill and lay on the floor, or do nothing and just let the pain subside. So I went back to the doctor. The doctor said, I don't really think this is. I went to the gyno. The gyno said, I don't really think this is I think you need to go to the gastro doctor. So I go to the gastro doctor. The gastro doctor said, no, it's not gastro. Go back to your regular doctor. So I go back to my regular doctor, and she puts me on the depot. So the depot kind of helped with the pain, but I went from I gained so much weight. I went from 200 and like 20 pounds to like two, I want to say like 260 while I was on it. I said, oh no, you gotta take me off this. You gotta take me off this pill. I'm gaining too much weight. I'll deal with the problem. I'm just gaining too weight. Let me take me off the pill. So she took me off the pill. I didn't go back. She gave me regular. I mean, she took me off the depot. She put me on regular pills. The only thing with pills is it was my fault. I'm not a pill taker. I'm not a regular scheduled pill taker. So when I missed a day, the pains will start again. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just go through it. Let me go through it. I was living on my own at the time. I was living on my own at the time. So when I moved back home with my mom, when my father passed, um, my mom saw this around like 2015. She was just like, "You having these heavy periods now?" Since I was off the pill, I meant to say that when I was off the pill, the period started. I ended up getting like really, really heavy cycles, and I've never had heavy cycles before. So I always contributed to it being my weight. Like, okay, well, maybe I'm gaining weight, and now my periods have changed because I got off the depot, I've gained weight. So I'm thinking, okay, my periods have changed. I'm not thinking about the fibroids. I know nothing about what fibroids do to your body. Um, but the the heavy periods was causing me to be weak and tired and all that stuff. So I'm thinking heavy periods, weak and tired. I'm just plus size now. Like I'm not really thinking too much of it. Belly's growing. Oh, I'm plus size. I'm just chalking it up to be a plus size. So my mom was like, no, something is really off. Like you can't even walk upstairs. I'm like, my brain is telling me I want to walk upstairs, but I can't physically push myself to walk up the stairs. And in our house, it's only 2 flights of stairs. So I'm like, oh my God, like something's wrong. So my mom's like, you need to go to the doctor. I'm like, well, these doctors, they keep pushing me around and not giving me answers. So what am I supposed to do? No one's gonna figure it out. So I'm just going through this. My mom's like, no, you need to find someone. So luckily my sister, who's a researcher, like anything she does, she researches it first. She's like, I'm gonna find you a doctor because we can't keep having this. Because it would be times where, me and my sister, we like to hang out together, and we like to do things together. And it was times where she wanted to do stuff with me, and I'm like, just go ahead because I can't make it. Like I can't make it. We'll go to the mall. I'll literally sit at the front door until she was done shopping. And she's like, no. Went to work out. I didn't have any energy to do it. And I could not at this point, my stomach had grew so big that I couldn't bend over and touch my toes or do anything. Again, I'm contributing to it being me being plus size. And a lot of people around me like, oh, you're just, you're plus size. Um, all this, if you lose weight, you would be able to do this stuff. I'm like, I'm at this point, I'm starting to realize like it's not me being like I physically feel sick, and plus I'm having these pains. So in my brain, I'm like, it's not because I'm plus size. Like I'm like my brain wants to do these things, but my body is telling me I can't. So finally, my sister researches a doctor and says, I found this doctor. She's black. She specializes in endometriosis, which at the time I thought it could have possibly been endometriosis. She specializes in fibroids, and she specializes in like uterine cancer and all this stuff. So I said, okay, fine. I'm gonna go to her. She seems like she's gonna have my back. So I schedule my appointment. I go in. First thing she does, she touches my stomach, and she says, "Your your uterus is under your breast." And I'm like, "My uterus is where?" And she's like, "It's under your breast." And I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" She says, you know, because I'm getting agitated. She's like, calm down. Um, we're going to schedule you an ultrasound and see what's going on because this can contribute to your heavy periods. And I had got my blood work drawn, and she's like, your blood is at like your iron is like a 6 or something like that, like a 5 or a 6. So she basically said that if uh, my iron is so low that I have no oxygen in my blood, basically. Also, that if something was to physically happen to me right now where I needed surgery, I could not have it because my iron levels are too low. Like I was chronically fatigued. She said they wouldn't even touch you. So what she did was she scheduled me a 3 iron infusions that lasted 2 hours. So I went and got those done to get my iron up. When it got an ultrasound, now here's the thing at the ultrasound because it pissed me off. So I go and get my ultrasound. I'm laying on the bed, and the lady's, you know, touching my stomach, and she goes, "Are you about to like?" She put the thing up there, up there, and then she's like, "Are you about to have a hysterectomy?" And I'm like, "Oh, what? Excuse me?" And she's like, "Are you about to have a hysterectomy?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, I'm like, why would you ask me that? You know, I'm laying on the table like, why would you ask me that? And she's like, well, because I can't find your uterus. I can't see past this mass. And I'm like, what? I'm confused at this point. I'm like, what are you talking about? Mass? Hysterectomy? So I'm freaking out. So I guess the head doctor comes in and he's like, we can't see it. Looks like you have multiple fibroids. We can't see past it. You're going to have to go and have an MRI done. So I scheduled an MRI. I get the MRI done. I go to my doctor. My doctor is pissed as well because I'm coming to her like they were talking about hysterectomy. What are they? She's like, I wish they wouldn't have told you that in that way. Like that's my job to do. They're supposed to just do they're supposed to just do the ultrasound, and if they can't see anything, you know, send you on your way to have an MRI. But they're not supposed to tell you or give you medical advice or anything like that. So that's what my doctor said. So she says, yes, we did look. You have multiple fibroids, more than two, more than three. And one is about 15 centimeters long or big. And then my uterus was about 17 centimeters. So she says, I think we're past the point of trying to think about having them removed. And we need to get you over to non invasive surgery to see what they can do or give you your recommendations or what they think you should do. So I get irritated again because I scheduled with the non invasive team and the doctor kept canceling. It was around COVID, so you know, what can I expect? But every appointment I had, he had to reschedule or he canceled. So by this time, I'm getting frustrated. I dropped the ball again. I'm like, you know, my mom was like, no, you did an MRI and you went through all this. I would hate for you to have to go through all this again because all your information is old. So you need to find another doctor. You know, I just hate doing like anyway. So I find another doctor. This doctor, so nice. We sat down and we discussed my options. She said I had two. She said it's three, but really only two apply to me. She said you can have the fibroids removed, one option, or you can have well that wasn't an option of mine. That's just an option if you out there is struggling with what I was going through, but your fibroids were smaller. You can have that, or you could have an embolization, which is where they try to shrink the fibroids. It's a 50-50 chance of that working, or you can have a hysterectomy. So I originally chose to have the embolization done, and only because my mom with me to this appointment, and my mom is the type of person where I love her to death, love my mother, but she doesn't believe in having unneeded surgery if there's another option. So um I originally chose to have that just to kind of comfort her, but I wasn't really sold on that because it was a 50-50 chance of it working. So I was still on the fence, but I was just going to go through it so my mom could be happy. Never do that. So so I went home defeated because that's not the decision I really wanted. I wanted to make the hysterectomy decision. I was never um I'm not the type of person, I'll say this, I'm not the type of person who wants to redo something. Like I want it one and done. The best option, well, we get this done and over with. I thought the hysterectomy would do that. I wouldn't have to, because it was a 50-50 chance of this not working. So I go home. Just so happened one of my good friends from college messaged me because I had put a post up about, oh, if I have a surgery, I'm gonna have scars or something like that. Like I put up a post about having fibroids, and she heard it. So she messaged me and she says, "Hey, I had my fibroids removed. Best decision." I told her I was past that point, and these were my two options, and I told her what option I chose. Just so happened this college friend is also a psychologist. So she's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do at the end of the day? Girl, you grow. I was about to be 40. She said, make the decision and have your mom live with it. Like, you can't be making decisions at 40 for someone else. Life lesson. So I told my mom, like, I don't want to go through that. That's a 50-50 chance that it might work. And even at 15 centimeters long, if it shrinks, it's only shrinking to about half. I didn't want to go through that. I wanted it one and done, out, out of me. And it was multiple ones. So I said, Mom, of course she's upset or she's sad. She's not an upset type of person, but she's sad about it because she didn't want this to happen to me. But um, I had to make that decision. So I ended up calling my doctor back and telling her, hey, I decided I want to get the hysterectomy. So we went ahead and scheduled for the 24th. I just knew I wasn't going to be healthy enough to do it because my iron levels were still kind of low. So she had me taking iron. So me, I'm still thinking like, oh, this surgery is not going to go through. It's not going to go through. Never going to be approved for this, because I had to go get blood work done and everything. And I just knew they were going to find something to say we can't do this surgery. So I'm on pins and needles, just hoping, hoping, hoping. Even up to the day of surgery, so I did all my blood work. She called me like, blood work's good. We're good for the 24th. I'm like, we just have to do another set of blood work on the 24th, and we'll see how that goes. So, so leading up to it, I'm having appointments with multiple doctors, and we're going over everything like what to expect. So now we get to 2 weeks out. So I want to kind of take you through the process of a hysterectomy and what to expect if you are going to get one, because uh, I didn't go into it blindly. Thank God I knew people who had either a hysterectomy or had their fibroids removed, and a lot of women reached out to me to kind of give me pointers on what to expect. So I feel like I want to pay that forward to you to give you kind of like an idea of what to expect if you were to go in. The day of the surgery, I get there at like 8 o'clock. They take me up into this room. My mother's with me. Um, they go over some things with me. My mom says goodbye. No, I change into the gown. My mom leaves. They give her a pager. They said that they'll update her throughout the surgery. my one friend said, make sure you tell the doctor. So it was in front of my mind. Make sure you tell the doctor that you want to keep your ovaries. And I discussed this with her previous, and it was discussed that I was going to get. I know I had one ovary that was good. However, the other fibroid had grown so big that they couldn't see left ovary, my left ovary, left, and so they didn't know if they were going to be able to keep that one. But my one friend who's a nurse was like, make sure you keep both because um, if they take them, it sends you into early menopause, which you have to get on hormone replacement therapy, and you don't want that. So if you keep your ovaries, keep them. Tell them you want them. So I told this to my doctor previous, but I wanted to reiterate that I wanted my ovaries. They, roll me into the operating room. The anesthesiologist is there, and he's like, yeah, your blood pressure is still high. We're trying to get that down, and we're going to give you something for that. That's all I remember. The next thing I know is someone's tapping on my shoulder to wake me up. They say nothing about the surgery. I'm still sitting there like, okay, what's going on? So first thing I asked to the nurse, did I have a blood transfusion? And did I get to keep my ovaries? She said no to the blood transfusion. Everything went fine. They didn't have to give you any blood. And two, you kept your ovaries. They didn't take them. Thank God. Like that's the only thing I was worried about. Those were the only two things I was worried about. So then my bladder was just filling up. And the thing with a hysterectomy is you can't leave the hospital until you use the bathroom, either one or two. So my bladder was just like, and I'm like, I have to use the bathroom. She's like, oh, I don't really think so. Sometimes you can feel cramping in your stomach. And I'm like, is this cramping in my stomach because of the hysterectomy? Or I gotta use the bathroom. I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. We'll find out if it's cramping. So another thing with a hysterectomy is they want you to walk like immediately after the surgery. There's no laying in bed, no nothing. You have to walk. So I'm thinking they're gonna roll me to the bathroom. Oh no, you're gonna walk. And I'm thinking the bathroom is in the room. Oh no, ma'am, it's across the hall. So I get to the bathroom, have to use the bathroom so bad. So use the bathroom, come back in the room, lay back down, have to use the bathroom again. Like I literally used the bathroom like 6 times in pre-op. I mean in post-op, and it got to the point where she was just bringing me a bedpan. Like you have to. So the last. So I'm laying there, and they're ready to like the first person that came to move me to just to be just like not to be discharged, but to be. I was in recovery, so they wanted to move me to post-op. So I'm using the bathroom, so he comes and he goes, right? The second guy, he opens the thing while I'm using the bathroom. I'm like, get out, I'm using the bathroom. Get out. So poor guy, he left. So he comes back and he rolls me out to post op and for me to be discharged. So I get discharged, but first they didn't want to send me home because my blood pressure was still high. So they're trying to like wait, and then I'm like it might be high because I'm in pain, but really I have high blood pressure, but I didn't want to stay. um so they're like, we don't want to release you until we can get your blood pressure down, but I'm gonna talk to the doctor. I'm gonna talk to the anesthesiologist to see what they want to do. So he said just give her high blood pressure medicine again and see if that should lower and it should be good to go home. So I end up getting released. And I go home. They give me oxycodone, ibuprofen, and Tylenol. So the regimen is you have to take one of these every 3 hours. Don't miss. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Because you will be in pain. So I take them around the clock. It just feels like so after surgery. Oh, and they give you stool softeners because it takes a minute for your bowels to wake up after being having anesthesia. After having anesthesia, I get home and my stomach feels like I did 1,000 cramps. And that is a description that my friend told me would happen, and it did. So the stomach is cramping, um, but the pain pills really helped with that and really subsided the pain. Um, my one friend told me to get a body pillow, and that helped tremendously because I didn't have to lay on my like the first night you're basically sleeping sitting up. There's no laying down. I think after the first week, you can lay down on your side. And that's where the body pillow comes in handy because you can place it right up under your side and just lay your stomach on top of the body pillow so you're not putting too much pressure on the stitches. So speaking of stitches, I got two, I got four little incisions for the liposcopy thingies to go in. And then I got a belly button incision to take the fibroids out. And she thought it may have, she was going to have to do a cesarean section because of how big my uterus was. But apparently, from the doctor's notes I saw, she cut it down in size and just pulled out fragments. She bagged it and then pulled out the fragments to get it out in a tinier incision. Um, so the body pillow helps with trying to lay on your side and not put pressure on your incisions because that's where the pain, hurts the most when you try to when it's pressure applied to that. So after that, taking your pills every 3 hours, making sure you're taking the pills they gave you every 3 hours, making sure you're washing with antibacterial soap so you don't infect the incisions, no pulling or doing anything to the incisions. Um, I have keloid skin, so I was really worried about that, but my friend told me to, after my 6 weeks, to get some scar tape to see if that helps. But luckily, I didn't really get keloid. Like my incisions healed up quite nicely. So after the 2 weeks, it's when you start kind of like feeling like yourself, but you're still walking like every 2 hours between that 2 weeks because they don't want you to lay down with the incisions. So after I believe 3 weeks, I had my post-op appointment, and she said I was thriving, thriving. Sorry, don't mind me. But yeah, she said I was doing good. And then next week, I go and have um, final my final appointment with the doctor. So this brings me to how I'm dealing with all of this. I I really tried to be sad about it because that's what you see online and that's what you see like people's blogs and vlogs and because I did a lot of research before I did, like, how do you feel when you have a hysterectomy, how do you feel when you have a hysterectomy, and I was really thinking I was going to be sad, but turns out I'm just not. I feel so much better, and this is not to discredit how they feel, but I was never a person who wanted to have kids. I always thought that there was a possibility that I would have them, and but if it didn't happen, I was okay with it. I'm 38 when I made I was 39 when I made the decision to have the hysterectomy, and I'm 40 now. So I feel like um, it wasn't in the cards for me to have a kid because of me being so of age. I won't say old, of age that having kids was not in my cards. And I wasn't going to go into 40 feeling like I did in my
But
30s. But dealing with it now, I'm good. I'm good. I chose to take some time off from my business, from social media, from everything just to enjoy having my body back. Like being present in my body, like not wanting to escape my body, being able to organize and decorate and clean and do things, like I've been really enjoying it, and I've really been enjoying like the peace and quiet of like just meditating and planning out my future of how I wanted to live now that I don't have to worry about periods and pains and all that stuff, because majority of my life was consumed with just that. And now I don't have that. um I just want to enjoy it for as long as I can before I return to the hustle and bustle of life. So that's why you haven't really seen my face. That's why I've been a little bit hidden. Still within reach if you guys want to contact me and just talk about life. I'm not really talking about fashion right now or clothes or styling or anything like that, but if you guys want to just shoot the breeze, see how I'm doing, or just tell me how you're doing with life, um, you're more than welcome to do that. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back. But yeah, that's my journey. And hopefully this helps someone on theirs. Bye for now.